Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for another office hours training. I am Crystal L. Gunn, your financial strategist and small business advisor. Part of my job as a strategist, be it on the business side or the personal side, is to help you create a solid financial relationship or a strong business base or foundation on which you can grow. I also help you have some aha moments, self-discovery moments, and helping you see what no longer serves you so that you can release them, so that you can soar. All that helps with the breakthroughs. That's where you start to shift. That's where the magic happens, be it in your personal finances or your overall business. So it's Tuesday. Let's talk credit. And I've given out information on credit basics, how to start to clean up your reports. I'll go back and talk more about credit again and again and again. Be sure you go back and watch those previous episodes. So let's go over another mistake people make with credit cards. Go back and watch last week's episode, and I will discuss more mistakes as the weeks follow. So let's talk about carrying a credit card balance. Many people believe it's okay to carry a credit balance month to month to build credit. And I understand why a lot of people are carrying balances right now. We got over $1.8 trillion in collective credit card debt across the nation. A large percentage of the reasons behind that is, everything is 20% more than it was 2 years ago, right? And so people are using those credit cards to fill the gaps for purchasing things like gas and food, right? And paying some utility bills. And they can't pay them off because they don't have enough money. Over 75% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. So I get it, right? There's a difference between carrying a balance because you have to and carrying a balance because you're buying more things that you don't need or can't necessarily afford. And again, I'm not talking about the basics of the food and the things of that nature too, because people are in very tight situations right now. But you don't need to carry a credit card balance in order to increase your score. I had a conversation with a lady. She called to do a credit check, and she had good scores. Her scores was low 700s. And she had been doing some research trying to figure out, she had gone through a process and had really worked hard to clean up her credit and increase her score. But she was carrying, now she only had 2 credit cards, but she was carrying, and they didn't have high limits. So let me be clear on that. She had 2 credit cards, didn't have high limits, but she was carrying balances of around 25 to 30% of the limit. The reason that she was doing that is because she misunderstood, or I don't know, saw somebody who explained it incorrectly, that whole 30% rule when it comes to credit cards, right? It's 30% of your credit score is the balances that you hold. And, they'll tell you when you start talking about utilization, drop your utilization or keep your utilization below 30%, right? That's if you're carrying a balance. The goal is not to carry a balance at all, right? And so it's important, that's why doing extensive research or actually having conversations with individuals that do whatever the thing is. It could be your dentist, your doctor, your mechanic. In this instance, we're talking about credit. So to have those conversations with individuals that is their lane, that is what they do, so that you can ensure yourself or get reassurance, confirmation, or how you need to tweak a thing so that it works in your favor. And so the thing that I told her, the young lady who was intentionally carrying credit card balances because she thought it was going to make her score better. I said, well, let's think this through. You're already over 700. I said, you don't have to carry balances to increase your score. I said, but what you're also doing is you're paying interest on something that you don't need to pay interest on. I think, and that's most important. I said, you're over 700. She wants to get a mortgage. She wants to buy a house later this year. I said, you qualify at that 700 credit score, over 700 credit score, for any mortgage program that's out there. Right. And again, she was in the low 700s, but she was still, all three scores were over 700. I said, so you got to go back and figure out what it is that you're trying to do. Right. And so after talking about it, she was like, okay, that makes more sense. And she was like, I'm not gonna carry these balances. Yeah, use your card, get the statement, pay it off. Don't overthink it. Don't go back to, you're gonna hear a whole lot, you know, um, here's a credit hack. You hear that a lot. And what happens for the person who hears the credit hack, they're looking at that hack to see some immediate result as opposed to learning how to use credit effectively. Right? And so, oh, you want to pay this a couple times a month. Oh, you want to do this, do that, and the third. Just pay the bill on time. You will be surprised at what that will do with your score. Paying the bill on time every single month, using it every single month, pay the balance off every single month. You will be surprised, right? And there's this whole push about the 800 club, and my thing is always get over 700 and stay over 700. Because when you walk into a lender, a dealer, whatever, credit union, bank, they're excited when you come in with over a 700 credit score, right? Because they see very few 800s anyway. So you're excited. So that's 740, that's 750, that's 760. Yeah, you're good. Okay. So carrying credit card balance can lead to several financial issues. So I'm gonna give you 5 reasons today to avoid it, right? One is the interest charges. Credit card balances that are not paid off in full accrue interest. Typically, credit card rates, interest rates are high, right? Unless you got a really great rate on your credit card. And think about it. It's why, if you follow me, I'm not a fan of store credit cards. And when I'm talking about store credit cards, all of the other ones except for Home Depot, Lowe's, Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, maybe Walmart, I'm okay with those, right? Because you can go buy various things if you need, stuff for your house, hot water tank, things of that nature. In some places you can buy groceries, right? Um, but I'm a bigger fan of just the regular Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, because you can use them anywhere. I always say if you needed to take an emergency trip and get a plane ticket, you couldn't do it with a Macy's card, right? So store credit cards typically charge higher interest rates than decent scoring Visa, MasterCard, and then obviously Discover and Express. So those interest charges, when you are paying interest on your credit card, right? You're paying interest where that interest payment could be allocated towards something else, right? And I give the reasoning. Often when you go into these stores and you go to check out, they ask you, would you like to, apply for a store credit card and save 10% on your purchase today? They've been trained to do this because the stores know that when you get that bill, most people are going to pay the minimum payment, and they're going to make more on you on the interest that you're paying on that credit card because you're carrying the balance than you did when you went and paid, purchased that $200 sweater and pants or whatever it was that you did in the store that day. So, and when you continue to carry a balance, it significantly increases the amount you owe over time, making it harder for you to pay off the balance in the first place, right? So most people aren't dedicated enough to apply for that store card, and then when the bill come, pay it off in full, right? So the interest charges, no need to pay interest on something when you don't need to pay interest on something. The second Reason to avoid carrying credit card balances, the negative impact on a credit score. Carrying a high balance can increase your utilization ratio, right? This can negatively affect your credit score. The higher the utilization, the more of a hit that you're taking on your credit score, right? And so, yeah, they say that sweet spot is 30. Keep your balances below 30. I'm saying pay your credit cards off every single month, right? And part of the credit coaching that I do is showing you how to use it effectively. And I'm not talking about the hacks and the instant and the da, da, da. I'm talking about just how to use credit cards and regular credit, but how to use it effectively, right? Because most people are not using it effectively, right? And so when you talk about carrying that balance, you know, sometimes there might be some reason that you have to carry a balance. You had to get a new furnace and you had to put that on a credit card. Well, you can't pay that off in one or maybe two payments. Okay, well, how many payments are you going to take to pay it off? Is it three? Is it five? Is it six? Knowing that you're going to have to pay that interest, but do that, divide that a payment by that many months and make sure you're paying it off within those times so you're not carrying excessive credit card balances, right? So that high credit utilization, and here's something that I see a lot. So the higher the utilization, so the higher the balance to the limit, you're taking a hit. But also, you're going to take another hit if your balance goes over your limit. So now you're taking two hits, right? So you want to make sure that you're paying really, really close attention to that utilization. But if you get in the habit of paying the bill, your credit card balances in full every single month, you don't have to worry about this. Another reason to avoid credit card debt is the increased debt burden. If you're not paying the balances in full, the interest is being applied, it's increasing the amount that you owe. And a lot of times people will pay that minimum payment, I don't know, $27, $30, whatever that minimum is, but they're not paying the interest that had accrued, right? So it just keeps adding up. So I get sometimes you're in an issue and all you can do is pay. You can't pay it in full. It's very low, you need to pay this low amount. But look at it. What's the minimum payment? And then look at what the interest that was charged. And if you can make that payment, the minimum payment plus that interest payment, it's a little better than just making that minimum payment, right? Another reason, reduced financial flexibility. So having credit card balances limits your financial flexibility. You may find yourself unable to make necessary or emergency purchases because your credit is tied up. Or you may need to divert money from another expense to cover your credit card payments, right? So you want to be able to make sure that you're managing not only the balances, but also the payments. And those payments are going to be determined by what that balance is, right? And, part of my training is that every credit card you own rather should have a job. Every credit card you own should have a job. So I have a credit card that just pays my cell phone and my internet because they're both through AT&T. I have a credit card that just pays Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon Prime, and the few phone apps that I have. Then I have a credit card that specifically pays gas, lights, water. That's all I use those credit cards for. I don't carry those credit cards with me. It's all I use those credit cards for. So every credit card you earn should have a job. And when that's how you're stacking those up, some of this other stuff doesn't come into play, right? Because they're getting paid off every single month because I would be paying those payments anyway. So I pay the bill off every single month. But what it does, it keeps those limits low. So if an emergency happens, if something comes up and I have to go to a credit card because I don't want to use cash, these credit cards, they're not maxed out. They're not to the limit. So therefore, I can tap into those credit cards, be it purchasing something or pulling a cash advance off of them if I needed them. So Carrying balances reduces your financial flexibility. The last piece that I'm going to talk about today is missed financial opportunities. So the money spent on interest payments could be used for other financial opportunities, such as saving, investing, purchasing assets, purchasing silver, purchasing gold, hell, purchasing groceries today or gas for the car, because the cost of that is astronomical right now. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, it goes back to me saying, when I tell people to look at their budget, and I was just having a conversation with somebody yesterday about this, looking at their budget. No, I did a presentation last night, looking at their budget and going over expenses and saying, hey, detoxing, where do I need to reduce expenses? Right? Yes, you could pay the $9.99 per month for whatever the thing is. Yeah, you can pay it, but can you justify paying it? Do you need to have whatever that thing is? I always use the example of HBO Max. When I got it one month because I wanted to watch a movie that came out directly to streaming as opposed to being in the theaters, but I don't watch TV like that. I don't watch movies like that. So for me to pay $16 a month, can I do it? Absolutely. But does it make sense? Nope, I'd rather take that $16 and reallocate it to something somewhere else. So you wind up missing opportunities when you have when you're carrying balances. One, because you're carrying the balance, and two, the interest that's accruing on top of that, money that could be reallocated somewhere else. And again, I understand that the prices of everything are extremely high. And a lot of people, again, are using their credit cards to supplement $1.8 trillion in collective credit card debt across the nation. I actually need to check the new amount, because it was 1.8 billion first quarter, like at the beginning of first quarter of this year. So one of the other things is where I talk about this right now, because of what's happening in the world, because of economically, and because of what is going to continue to happen, because of the prices of things, right? I'm not advising my clients necessarily to just pay debt off unless it strategically is working in their favor. I'll give the example of the client who's $1,000 in the hole every month. We needed to pull some equity from her home to pay those credit card balances off, just so she wasn't in the hole anymore and carrying all of that interest. And she had, $15,000, $20,000 worth of credit card debt. However, that might not be the same thing that needs to be done for someone else. Right. And so again, it always goes back to strategy. I don't believe in cookie cutter. I believe in what works for you, what you need to do in your specific situation, right? So take a look at your specific situation. Don't just keep carrying credit card balances because you just want to keep going shopping for more things, more gym shoes, more purses, whatever the thing is. Are you carrying credit card balances because you got to use them to pay bills, your utilities? You got to use them to buy gas, and groceries for the house. That's something different than, carrying these balances because, again, you're going shopping for just more things. So again, is paying off your credit card debt the best thing? If you have credit card debt, if you have not been paying the balances off every single month, it depends, right? Do you have $7,000 in credit card debt, or do you have 300 in credit card debt? 300 in credit card debt, yeah, you want to pay that off and start to use that credit card effectively. $7,000 in credit card debt, you might not be able to do that, especially if you don't have equity somewhere. And this is not the time to refinance to pull equity out. She actually could get a line of credit. So again, it's the strategy, it's the thing that works for you and for your situation. Someone else may have done something different and they're suggesting it for you, but you all don't have the same situation. So again, there's no cookie cutter strategy for everybody that fits for everybody. Now more than ever, it's time for individuals to take a real hard look at their finances, determine what's important to them, and create an efficient and effective budget so you can live the life that you want and the one that you deserve. It's time to move away from just buying more stuff, more things. I'm not saying you can't have the things, but it's time for you to be really, really intentional with your money. It's a lot going on. And I said, why not take some steps backwards? Why not say, let me just chill this thing out for a minute, redefine your financial relationship so that when this whole economic system flips, you're going to come out better as opposed to worse. So my question becomes, are you ready for that? Right? So favorite thing for today is my credit checkup. And this is for personal and business side. So it's one helping you, making sure you're using credit effectively, but giving you a strategy for you, for your specific situation that can help you throughout these next, you know what I mean, throughout these next years, days, months, weeks, years, until this whole system flips on its end. So credit check, you know it. The link is in the description. Next is the things to do. I always give you homework. Like, well, not always. Sometimes it's just think about it and sit in where you are right now. But life is about the journey. The journey is so important. Your journey is for you. Some people will come along on your journey to help you, to walk a ways with you, but your journey really is for you. And there's so much that you gain for the journey. Don't run away from the journey just trying to get to the destination. There's so much that you gain from the journey, right? It's important. You do the small steps, you look back, you heal, you've climbed a mountain. So, what's these next steps? Pull your credit reports. Link is in the description below if you haven't done it before. If you have, pull out your credit report, your most recent 3 with FICO scores, always. And are you making any of the mistakes that I spoke about today? If you are, go back. Where can you adjust them? Don't try to figure it out by yourself, though. So often I see people trying to do a thing and it doesn't have the impact that if they had done something else just a little differently, it would have had a greater impact. And then make a decision. Just figure it out. Get the help. My God, stop sitting here watching video after video, reel after reel, training after training without pulling the trigger and actually doing something. So make a decision and do something. Whatever you do, though, don't be in the same place 6 months from now, 6 weeks from now, 6 days from now that you are today. Don't keep doing the same thing, expecting something different. It's time to level up and improve your financial relationship so that you can live the life that you desire and deserve, and not the one that you get just after paying bills. Right? So if this information has been helpful, please subscribe to my channel. Be sure to turn notifications on so you don't miss a thing. Share it with 5 people that you know. 5 of the closest people. Hey, check this out. Some great information that you get off here. You never know where someone is. You never know what's going on in someone's house. It doesn't matter how many masks people put on and all of the things, right? You never know what they need. It could be the blessing. If you see this in 2 or 3 names just drop in your spirit, then send it to those 2 or 3 people. It's a reason why those names dropped in your spirit. You never know who needs a thing. If they don't need it, they're not going to pay attention to it. If they're not ready for it, they're not going to pay attention to it. But you did the right thing sending it along. If you are in need of personal or business strategy, let's talk about it. Consultation scheduling links are below in the description. And always, I say it every single time. Give yourself some grace. You don't know what you don't know. We haven't been taught these things on purpose. It's by design and intention. We can keep you off balance, right? Stress, worry, control, all of that comes into play. So always, always, always give yourself some grace. Extend grace to yourself the way that you may extend grace to someone else. Keep striving for your next level. This is about you. It's not about you in comparison to somebody else. It's not about somebody else's journey. It's about you. So keep striving for your next level. Never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever give up on you and invest in you. I promise you, it is the best investment that you will ever make, and you will never, ever live to regret it. Until next time, thank you for joining me, and peace. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Be sure to join me for the private online Q&A immediately following. The link is in the description. And if you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn notifications on so you never miss this opportunity. Thank you again, and I will see you on the other side.